Yo, what's happening, guys? So I'm going to be showing you guys some Blu-rays that I just bought. Now, let me give you a little bit of reasoning as to why I bought these Blu-rays. Basically, I was in the mood to watch The Dark Knight, and it wasn't on any of the streaming services I've got. So I thought, do you know what? This is probably a movie that's worth me having on Blu-ray. So I looked up The Dark Knight, and it was on Amazon for something like £10, something like that. And I thought, you know what? Let me see if I can get it cheaper somewhere else. So I went to Gumtree, and basically I found a guy selling a bunch of DVDs for about £1 or less, and basically I ended up looking through, and I ended up buying more than just The Dark Knight. I ended up buying a few other DVDs, Blu-rays, but basically this is the collection. This is the small collection that I got here, and we'll just go through these movies and see what's what. I'll give you a little bit of reasoning as to why I decided to buy them. First off, here we've got Fast and Furious 7. I got this movie mainly because I do like all the Fast and Furious movies. And this guy, he had just like a random collection of movies. I think he had probably about 150 movies or something like that. I just went through and picked the ones that I liked. So yeah, Fast and Furious 7. Basically, I got this movie because it's Paul Walker's last movie, and I thought it's worth me owning on Blu-ray at least. Leon, the Professional. I've never actually seen this movie. I think I've seen parts of it, but I know if I have seen it, it was a long time ago because I can't remember it from beginning to end. I know it's like Natalie Portman, and he takes her on as like his apprentice, and he's a hitman, things like that. But this is a movie where it always comes up. People always talk about this movie, so I thought, obviously, at the price that we're going for, I just thought, yeah, I'll get this movie and I'll get it watched. I can add it to the collection. Obviously, this collection, if there's any movies in here that I watch and I don't feel like I need to keep or anything like that, I've no problem selling them. Like I say, I got these all relatively cheap. Fast and Furious 5. A lot of people consider the best movie within the Fast and Furious franchise. So that's mainly the reason that I got this. And like I say, I do enjoy all the Fast and Furious movies. I know they're not for everybody, but for me, they're just like a fun, good time, just easy to watch sort of movie. The sort of movie where if you just want to put the TV on and maybe fall asleep, or you just need some background noise, Fast and Furious is always a good movie. And this is actually a steelbook, so nice. Fast and Furious 6. Once again, just a case of another movie, something to watch when you need something to watch. Part of the Fast and Furious collection. Battle Los Angeles. Now, a lot of people don't like this movie, but I'm actually kind of a big fan of it. It's got a really interesting cast, and it's a war movie slash an alien movie. So if you like war movies, there's a possibility that you might like this, and if you like alien movies, there's a possibility you might like this. It's a combination of both. Like usually in alien movies, like it's like a good cross between a war movie and an alien movie, if you like that sort of thing. And like I say, the cast is pretty interesting. American Gangster, Denzel Washington and Russell Crowe. I remember watching this when it first came out and thinking, oh, it's a bit long, and I didn't quite appreciate it the first time I watched it. But on rewatches, I've always really enjoyed this film, so I thought I'd get it. Interesting story. X-Men Days of Future Past, in my opinion, one of the best X-Men movies, if not the best X-Men movie. There's so many good things about this movie. In particular, the way it joins the old cast to the new cast, or the new cast to the old cast, whichever way you want to look at it. The time travel aspect's really good. Everybody's really good in this. The overall story is really good. New characters like Quicksilver that we've never seen. Really good action and some really good emotional moments as well. The bits at the end with the Sentinels, it's really good stuff. You guys know what I'm talking about, but I won't spoil any of it if you guys haven't seen it. Yeah, like I say, in my opinion, one of the best X-Men movies, if not the best. We've then got Sherlock Holmes: A Game of Shadows. This is once again one of those movies where when I first watched it, I didn't really appreciate it, and then several years later, maybe like 5, 6 years later, I watched it again and I really enjoyed it. Obviously, when I think of Robert Downey Jr., it's obviously Iron Man, but this is probably outside of Iron Man some of his best movies, some of his best later movies anyway. Since he's made Iron Man, the Sherlock Holmes movies are a couple of his best movies, definitely. And here's the other one. I think this is the first one. Drive. This is a movie that I remember the first time I watched it, I didn't like it, and to be honest, I've only ever seen it once. So I bought a movie here that I don't even like. However, a bunch of people always go on about this movie and how good it is. So there's a very good chance that the first time I watched it, it was a case of, I went into the movie expecting one thing, and then when I didn't get it, I was so put off by it, I thought it was a bad movie. I'm definitely willing to give it a second chance, and I'm wanting to see what Drive's all about. The flick pick in particular, he always goes on about this movie, and he's got the same jacket. So I'm gonna give this a watch for the flick pick. Rise of the Foot Soldiers. Now this is a really good movie. I remember watching this when I was a kid. It's based on a true story of the Essex Boys. If any of you guys are from the UK, you might have heard of the Essex Boys. They were like some gangsters from the 90s. And if there's any Americans watching this or anyone outside of the UK who's never seen Rise of the Foot Soldiers, it's definitely one of the best British movies there is, I would say. Up here it says the Krays ain't got nothing on about the Kray twins, and I'm sure a lot of people listening to this will have probably heard of the Kray twins. In my opinion, Rise of the Foot Soldiers is a better movie than the Kray twins or any other sort of British gangster movie. There is some good British gangster movies, obviously things like Snatch and stuff like that, but the Rise of the Foot Soldiers is a must watch in my opinion. Fury. I was going to say a Brad Pitt movie, which it is, but there's also some other people in this cast. There's like 4 main members, and it basically follows people in a tank. This is a really good war movie. There've been the odd good war movie in the past 10, 20 years, and this is definitely one of them. Definitely worth a watch for anybody who's not seen it if you like war movies. And there's no aliens in this one, like in Battle Los Angeles. The Hangover, a really good comedy. I remember when this first came out, it was totally unexpected. I don't think I hardly knew who any of these guys were, and a really good movie. A bunch of random stuff. It's just like a fun, good time, fun, good movie. A lot of times, most of the movies that I like, or not most of the movies, I've got a wide variety of movies that I like, but a lot of the times I like a feel-good movie. And The Hangover to me is just a good feel-good movie. You're gonna watch it, you're gonna be smiling and laughing, and happy times. Gran Torino, maybe Clint Eastwood's last best movie, if that makes sense. The best movie was in last, if like I say, if that makes any sense. Gran Torino, a really good movie. It's not necessarily an action movie, I guess I'd call it. Maybe like a drama, something like that. But really good, like smaller sort of movie. There's no big action pieces or anything like that. It's just like a story, simple story told really well. And like I say, Clint Eastwood, legend. Inception. Now this is once again another movie where the first time I watched it, well, no, in fact, I did like Inception the first time I watched it, but for me, this only got better every time I watched it. I think I've heard some people say the opposite, where they really liked it the first time, and then on rewatches, they slowly started to not necessarily dislike it, but like it a little bit less than the first time they watched it. However, for me, it was the total opposite. Every time I watch this, it always gets better, so I thought this is definitely worth owning on Blu-ray. Also, this isn't my idea, but it'd be great if they made like a TV show about Inception where every season they're intercepting someone's mind. The Raid 2. A lot of people say that this is like the best, one of, a lot of people say that this is the best sequel ever made, and definitely one of the best sequels ever made. And I absolutely agree with that. It is one of the best sequels ever made. The Raid 1 is a very simple story. You could break it down in, a police force are tasked with taking over a tower block, and they've to make the way to the top. And that's basically what the Raid 1 is. However, the Raid 2 is almost completely different to that. We expand upon the world dramatically. And obviously, the best thing about the Raid movies is the fighting. And, the structure of the Raid 2 is basically fight scene, like 20-minute fight scene, 10-minute talking, 20-minute fight scene, 10-minute talking. That's a simplification of the Raid 2 structure, but it works perfectly. And this is a really good, like, crime gangster sort of movie. Earlier on, I had The Rise of the Foot Soldiers in here. There's kind of a lot of similarities in both these movies. Yeah. It's as in the both just two great gangster movies. Paul Blart Mall Cop. Once again, another fun, light-hearted, feel-good sort of movie. A lot of people, I think, don't like Paul Blart Mall Cop, but for me, I remember I didn't think I was going to like it, so I didn't watch this movie for 10 years maybe, and then when I finally watched it, it was like, what? I can't believe I didn't watch this sooner. I really enjoyed it. It's just a stupid, dumb, fun sort of movie, but like I say, you might be surprised by it. The Hot Fuzz. I remember I went to cinema to see this movie, a really good movie. In my opinion, it's the best movie out of the Cornetto trilogy. You've got The Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead, and I think the last one is At World's End, maybe, something like that. But like I say, in my opinion, Hot Fuzz is the best one. Shaun of the Dead's good, but this one kind of added on to what Shaun of the Dead did and did it better. Plus, I really enjoy action movies, so this being like an action movie parody sort of thing, it's really good. Iron Man, where the MCU all started. I think I must have bought this just because, like I say, it's where the MCU all started, and a lot of people consider this the best movie in the MCU, and it kind of is in a way. Now that I'm thinking about it, I was thinking maybe something like Civil War's better, or maybe an Avengers movie. I don't know if Iron Man's my favourite, but it could possibly be the best. And like I say, where it all started. Let's see what else we've got in here. There's down to the last few now. From Paris with Love, a John Travolta movie. Now, this is, for a lot of people, just like a straight-to-DVD sort of movie. And you know what? It kind of is. But in my opinion, it's also one of John Travolta's best movies in maybe the last 20 years. Now, that probably goes to speak to more to John Travolta not making that good of movies anymore. But it's still pretty interesting. It's kind of like the sort of action movie you'd watch on TV back in the day. It'd probably come on at like 7 o'clock and you'd watch it till 9 o'clock and it would just like, oh yeah, that were an alright movie. That's pretty much exactly what this is. It's not going to blow you away in any sort of fashion, but and everything's probably predictable in it, but it seems like John Travolta's having a good time, and the story is simple enough and easy enough to watch, where it was just worth me owning for the rainy night sort of movie. 22 Jump Street. 21 and 22 Jump Street are both good movies. I'm not sure if 21 Jump Street's in this bag. I can't remember what movies I got, but I remember thinking 22 Jump Street, it's like, again, goes back to being a fun, light-hearted movie. It's something easy to watch, a feel-good sort of movie, and you don't necessarily need to watch 21 to go into 22. You just know what you're getting. Fun cop movie sort of thing. Oh, so I do have 21 Jump Street in here. So yeah, I've got pretty much the same thing for 22 Jump Street. Obviously the first one. Also, what do you guys think? Should they have made 23 Jump Street or crossed over with Men in Black? The Wolf of Wall Street. I remember when I got around to watching this movie, I really enjoyed it. Probably Martin Scorsese's last best movie. Once again, that weird phrase I keep saying. But yeah, cocaine, hookers, all that good stuff. investing. The Hurt Locker. This was a movie where, in fact, I can't remember when the first time I watched this movie, but I know I've always liked it from the first time I watched it. I've actually caught this movie a few times on Netflix, so it feels like I'm well and truly caught up on The Hurt Locker. But like I say, every time I watch it, I really enjoy it. So it was definitely worth grabbing, and it's worth you guys seeing if you haven't seen it. There's a lot of war movies in here, actually. There's a lot more than what I remembered. And The Dark Knight, where it all started off. So yeah, like I say, the whole purpose of me buying these Blu-rays was because I fancied watching The Dark Knight and it wasn't on any streaming service. So I thought, do you know what? I'll go out and buy The Dark Knight on Blu-ray, and then I've got it forever. So I've got this forever now. And I also ended up buying all these other Blu-rays. I think I spent 20 quid on all of them. So I don't know if that's a good price, but there's definitely more than 20 quid worth of enjoyment here, and more than £20 worth of movie time. But yeah, The Dark Knight, I'm sure you guys all know what it's about, but I remember the first time I saw this in the cinema. The first time I saw this was in the cinema, and I remember whilst I was watching it, thinking, this is the best movie I've ever seen in the cinema, and it still might be to this day the best movie I've ever seen in the cinema, and I've seen quite a few movies in the cinema to this point. But yeah, really enjoyed this. I think I watched it a bunch of times, but like when it first came out, I remember going back and watching The Dark Knight to the point where it was like, okay, I need to take a break on watching The Dark Knight now. And it's been a couple of years, and I'm gonna watch this tonight. But anyway, yeah, thanks for watching my Blu-ray video, and let me know if there's any Blu-rays in here, that you guys have seen, which if you've got any favourites of these collections. There's quite a random variety of movies in here, but there's some classics, some cheesy ones. But anyway, let me guys know what you think of the collection, and what Blu-rays would you recommend that I get next. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, if you made it this far, and I'll see you guys in the next video.